All right, we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday, finish out outsourcing strategies. And day 2, here we go. Okay, labor and other organizational constraints. So knowledge transfer in an outsourced situation is just as important as transferring assets or capital. When outsourcing, the supplier should be involved early and get plenty of opportunity. Provide opportunities to interview people doing the work, realistic expectations. Oftentimes you can keep last pieces that you produced in your facility as a reference. And then small undocumented deviations from the print are usually the result of bug fixes and optimization. And if you got in-house engineering, which we do, coupled with in-house production, which we also do, usually leads to suboptimized drawings. So you got all these drawings. It's like, yeah, you got a bunch of red lines, but sometimes we didn't put the red lines on there. Joe on the floor just knows you got to do it this way. It's hard to source garbage like that. So you got to make sure if you've got in-house engineering and in-house production and you're going out with it, that your drawings are up to speed and they're not a bunch of garbage. Supplier current and future capability. Suppliers may begin to make improvements on the process or new technologies may emerge. Better capture these benefits as the buyer and incentive system needs to be set up for the supplier. So oftentimes, if you figure out a way to save me money, what's in it for the supplier? And usually they're looking for something in the way of money. We got other things we'll give them, like, credit for CMP and stuff like that, which is, yeah, okay, but it's not as good as money. Socioeconomic goals and objectives, high unemployment areas, companies may continue to insource because they can get labor cheap. Outsourcing may open new markets for the companies. Yeah, it could be. If you're getting your parts from Asia, you may be able to sell back into Asia of the end item. Company's brand image may be at stake if outsourcing areas where worker safety and human rights are not respected. So if you're getting really cheap parts from North Korea, it's not going to be good for you. As a rule, companies should look to practice the same standards internationally as it does at home. So, worker safety, all that good kind of stuff, you need to practice the same way you would at home. Areas of concern are exploitive labor practices, child labor, environmental waste, etc. Capital investment. When outsourcing, companies need to consider the continuous reduction in total costs. So oftentimes the supplier can reduce costs for you, but they might need a new mold. And outsourcing can give company quick access to new technology, depending on who you outsource with. Contingent labor. Respond to fluctuations in demand. You can often use contingent labor. They're on temporary assignments, so they're seasonal workers or independent contractors. Purchasing departments often outsource to a temporary employment company. So if you've got temporary labor from purchasing, then you're going to have to go through a temp firm because there's all kinds of government tax withholding and stuff that if they're an independent contractor, they don't often do. And then the government gets mad and comes back against the company. Offshoring, below are a few of the unique considerations of international sourcing, otherwise known as offshoring. Low-cost country sourcing, it's now called best-cost country sourcing. Tendency to amplify both the benefits and risks of outsourcing. So you get low costs, you can get some innovative technology, expansion of sales into that country, but concentration in some developing markets has caused them to become developed. So China is not the deal that it once was. And the companies in the areas compete against one another, driving up labor and material prices. So outsourcing is one thing, right? And then there's offshoring. So you can outsource in North America or Asia or Europe. But to offshore, you've got to go out of the continental United States. Quality. Outsourced quality begins with having good specs and drawings. And the buying organization must also clearly communicate their quality standards. So quality handbook. Security, local laws, also nowadays it's digital security. And politics, what is the political stability of the country? What are the risks of reparation? Converting the current to dollars and transferring it home? Can you get your money back out of the country? Will initial tax benefits erode over time, etc.? And then delays require increased travel. If you do a lot in China, then or Asia, yeah, it's going to increase your travel. Communication. So if your engineers need to have a lot of communication with the supply base and they don't speak English, that could be a problem. Increased transportation costs. Got to ship it on water, it takes longer. And then environmental pollution. So you got onshoring, reshoring, and nearshoring. So you know what offshoring is. It's going outside North America. Nearshoring, or let's go with onshoring first. You're keeping the work in the home country, but moving to a lower cost location. So you're moving to Mississippi because they've got really low labor costs there. That's onshoring. Reshoring, as opposed to onshoring. So in onshoring, it never left the United States. In reshoring, jobs are returned from international locations to the home country, which would be the US. So you're going from China to Mississippi. And then nearshoring is outsourcing where suppliers' locations are near the buying organization. So nearshoring would be Mexico, Central America, Canada. It's can often be a much better deal transportation-wise. And then you've got country analysis, relative importance. Each criteria should be weighted, just like our CP laser. Geography, local laws, infrastructure, utilities, transportation, data networks, financial networks, etc. People and their culture, political considerations. Use a risk portfolio approach to find the optimal supply network. I mean, in theory, you'd use this heat map. You can use this kind of thing, a global sourcing scorecard. So you got a couple, here's a major category of labor, a couple of subcategories, unemployment, labor climate, and you're rating them with these little dots here. That's just one way of doing it. Privatization of government industry. So partial or complete transfer of assets from the government to the private sector. So they're selling off government industries to the private sector. The basic economic argument given is that governments have few incentives to ensure that the enterprises they own are well run or make money. The government doesn't care. Certain natural monopolies may limit the idea. So in the US, we have certain natural monopolies like power that are not run by the government, but they're regulated by the government closely. Oftentimes, though, if they're privatizing a government industry in another country like Russia, all they're doing is giving it to their corrupt buddies. So political considerations, government more easily exert pressure on state-owned businesses, as in China. And the primary consideration is the total life cycle cost. And then public or private partnerships. Certain markets establishing a presence requires forming a joint venture, like China. In some countries, these organizations can be owned by the government. You could be in a joint venture with the Chinese government. These partnerships are very difficult to exit. It's like being a joint venture with the mafia. A loss of intellectual property can also occur. Post-audit evaluation, key performance indicators should be developed. Some considerations: single point of contact, schedule quarterly meetings, annually have executives discuss their plans, go visit the supplier, and have metrics. Oh yeah, okay. So this is another novel here. The primary benefit that has been associated with low-cost country or best-cost country sourcing is cost. In general, developing economies often lower labor costs developing economies offer lower labor costs than are available in more developed countries. However, supply managers recognize that low-cost labor may not be adequate to meet their needs. So producing an organization's product requires reasonable levels of technology, but certainly not basic. Further dealing with the technology requires a well-educated, capable workforce. Suppliers throughout the supply chain need to provide good quality performance, and it's likely that the suppliers will need a sound network of related and supporting businesses in order to meet performance quality specs. How would a supply manager structure a country-by-country analysis to identify countries that might offer suppliers and services needed? And remember, ISM never goes with the low-cost approach. All right, what do you guys think here? What would be the ISM approach to everything like this?
C.
C, yeah, Charlie, I would guess. They always like weighing the criteria. Whenever you see a question like that, it's almost always the answer. And C it is. All right. So now, yeah, we don't have any other add-on stuff. Questions 6 through 10 should already be out there from yesterday. You can pull those down on the chat. 1A5, those are the answers. There's the questions right there. So questions 6 through 10, and we'll go over answers at 2:20. And you just raise your hand when you get done. All right, let's go look at the answers here. Number 6. Option Charlie. Making an item rather than buying it would return immediate control of quality to the buying company. 7 is also Charlie. Correlation analysis is performed to determine the relationship between two variables. It would probably not be used to make a buyer analysis. 8 is Delta. If an analysis shows that outsourcing will result in a lower profit, that is not a reason to do it. 9 is also Delta. U.S. Sarbanes-Oxley Act is a federal law relating to accounting. This is kind of a dumb question because it's like, well, if the U.S. SOX law isn't applicable, then why would the EU law be? Well, we could be getting it from EU suppliers. Well, yeah, the Sarbanes-Oxley law could also apply to disclosure about those EU suppliers. So, you know. And then 10 is Charlie. Indicates that these concerns should be included in addressing political considerations. Any questions? If not, then we're going to look at some purchasing technology tomorrow. Talk to you guys later.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.